Welcome everyone to another episode. My name is Ashley Fitzsimmons, and today I am so excited for you to meet a woman whose story is full of perseverance, vision, and heart. It's going to be great. I can't wait for you to hear our conversation today. So let's get right in. Our guest today is Brittainy Barton Frost. She is the owner of Proud Souls Boutique in Illinois. And that's not all though, friends. She grew up in Texas. She showed livestock. She went to Oklahoma State, go Pokes. And then she followed her love and of course opportunity to Illinois, where she is building something incredibly special. Brittainy is a mom, she's an entrepreneur, and she's someone who absolutely blends that grit and grace in how she leads and how she conducts her daily life. So, Brittainy, welcome. I am so glad to have you here today, and welcome to the Grit and Grace podcast. Thank you for joining us.
I am absolutely honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Brittainy. So if you've listened to the podcast, or for those of you that have listened before, you know that we have some icebreakers. We're just going to kind of warm some things up. We're going to hit you with some random questions for our audience to get to know you a little better. So first question out of the gate, are you single or married?
I am married to my husband, Tony. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so let us know, was Tony your first love, or did it take a little while?
Interesting question. And I've enjoyed hearing the answers I've heard so far on the first couple of episodes I've been able to listen to of the podcast. But, we all had that high school love, that we thought was love, whatever. It took a little while longer. I did not meet Tony until college. We did not start dating until he was already graduated from college. But so I wouldn't say first boyfriend, but God definitely put him in my life when I needed him the most. And I can say I definitely married my best friend.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, God's good with that timing. He for sure is.
Yeah, he was good on that one.
All right. And tell us, kids' age, give us some details and background on your kiddo.
We have one very rambunctious, hard-headed, stubborn, independent 4-year-old. He's actually a four-namer. He's Cimarron Wyatt Allen Frost, but he goes by Wyatt. He is in pre-K currently, and he is all farm kid, cattle kid. He loves it all, but we are in that phase right now that everything is all around him and on the go. So
yeah, all boy, all the time. Love it. Here for it. Here for it. All right, Brittainy, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like Facebook?
I'd say probably about a 7. If you get past the negative that unfortunately you see on there, I tend to post a lot more in my personal life, a lot with Wyatt and things, but that's also from a family aspect. So my family can see him grow up since we live, far away from my side of the family and things. So from a personal aspect and keeping track of friends I don't get to see often, family, etc., I enjoy it. Business aspect right now, it's kind of a love-hate. It's probably about a 6. I do most of the Facebook side of Proud Souls marketing, and the algorithms are difficult. So just kind of trying to keep up with that is a full-time job in itself. But yeah, I would say probably about there.
Yep, I totally get it. All right, what about TikTok or Snapchat? Do you have both? Do you prefer one or the other? How do we feel about that?
I do have both. My brothers are much younger than me and tend to send me things on Snapchat, and I'm like, why? I'm old. I don't know how to text message me or something. I'm constantly having to go send that again because I didn't save it and it went away. But TikTok though, I love TikTok, to be honest, but more so it's my first place to go for news, which is random, but I have very little time to catch up on some of those things. So it's a quick video. I also catch myself for recipes and things. Watching people make things is way easier because I don't do well with cooking. So the step-by-step, and then crafts, parenting ideas, things like that. So I actually love TikTok myself. And we use it, my younger girls at the shop use it quite a bit for us, and it's been good. So
love that. All right. What about, so it's morning right now when we're recording this. Are you a coffee drinker or a tea drinker?
So morning, I am a soda drinker. I have to have my Diet Coke to start the day. I am not a coffee drinker, and I wish I was, because we have a great new coffee shop in town and all these great recipes and everything. It all sounds really good. Not a coffee drinker. Afternoons, I am a definite Alani girl. I have to have an Alani in the afternoon. So Gotta have that in, those unhealthy energy drinks, but
Love it. All right, books or podcasts?
podcasts. I wish I had more time for books, but definitely podcasts for me. I listen, my full-time job that I have right about a 35-minute drive back and forth. And so that's my unwinding time or quiet time. And I have tons of different ones that I enjoy listening to. So definitely podcasts.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. My car beeps at me if it thinks my eyes are off the road for a while. So it gets challenging, right? As you're commuting to read a book. So it's got to be podcasts. All right, last icebreaker here. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
A night owl. I wish I could be an early bird, but again, we're at the phase in life that with so many things going on, everything Wyatt, it's about getting him down to bed. And unfortunately, he has also followed me in being that night owl. So getting him to bed is a little bit of a chore, but I still do a lot of my work after he goes to sleep at times. So night owl, definitely.
Well, thank you for that. I think that's fun. I know our listeners always love just hearing kind of some of those random ad hoc questions. I'm with you. My favorite question and answer is to always hear how people answer if they married their first love or not. So we've had a great variety.
Yeah, I'm anxious to hear the rest of them and hear what everybody else has to say. Yeah.
Yes. We'll have to do a follow up on those responses at some point and pull those together. So. All right, let's talk a little bit about your roots. You are definitely one of those role models. You've got roots and wings and are a lot of different places. So let's go back. Let's travel back, to South Texas. You grew up in Texas showing. Walk us through that world, your earliest memories, really competing and being part of a family that did that at a very high level.
Yeah, so this question kind of made me think of kind of a funny story that my parents and I like to joke about. But my very first heifer show was the Houston Livestock Show, which go big or go home.
Yeah, I was to say, wow, way to jump off in the deep end there. Okay, all right, we got you.
Yeah, with a heifer that up until the night before, I was very nervous to show. She wasn't exactly the most docile animal. I remember being terrified. Bright lights, big crowd, walking into the ring, and I made it. And at the end of it, I remember walking out, handing my dad the heifer and said, "When are we going again? When are we doing it again?" And from there, I was hooked. So, and then it turned into showing until I was aged out at 21, 22 years old. So,
absolutely. I love that. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners have that same kind of experience, right? You just kind of jump off into the deep end and you don't know until you get there. And then you love it and it shapes you and really becomes a part of you. So let's dig a little deeper into that. Like, how did those years from single digit age up to into your 20s, how did that really shape your character, your discipline? Like, how did that make you who you are today?
showing livestock definitely set the framework for the things I did later in life. Winning is fun. We can all agree to that, but you have to have a passion for it. That's for sure. And you have to be willing to put in the long hours and the work behind it. My parents were always, super adamant about we were the ones in the barn doing it, no matter if we had help or not. And I appreciate them for that today. It is a lot of work, but in the end, the success from it is a big deal. I'm sure you can agree. We didn't have family vacations. Family vacations were junior nationals. It wasn't anything tropical or in the mountains. We went to cattle shows, but that was definitely some of the best memories that I had. The hardest, the toughest, but some of the best memories that I have looking back on all of that.
Yeah, I love that. We still joke, actually, in my family. We used to vacation on the beaches of Kansas City or whatever. Yeah, super tropical location that we were at for junior nationals that year.
Exactly. And people ask you to make plans with other things, and it's like, oh, got to see which one that falls during. Hold on.
Yes, very much so. So I know for me and probably a lot for you, you met a lot of people and it really pulled you. We share in common, right? Not only making a great choice in coming to Oklahoma State, but also leaving our home states and coming to Oklahoma State. And so talk to me a little bit about kind of what drew you to OSU and what was your major? What did you study? Talk to me a little bit about that college life experience.
So I actually started at Blinn for junior college. I did stay in state. I had the honor of winning a scholarship at San Antonio from the Heifer Show, a very good scholarship, but it was in state only. So I did start at Blinn and Bryan, but my heart was in Stillwater. I went and visited a couple of times and Loved it. I had lots of friends there. I really enjoyed the agriculture and cattle aspect of Stillwater and of Oklahoma State. At the time, I wanted to be an ag communications major. I'm dating myself here, but it was a long time ago. But if I remember correctly, A&M didn't have ag communications set up, I believe, but I knew that Oklahoma State had a great program. And at the time, I wanted to get out and experience somewhere else. Although very hard to leave home, I wanted that opportunity to be able to leave and see other places, learn about other places and things like that. So I chose Oklahoma State.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit kind of about that transition, and let's start with maybe some of the challenges. Talk to me about the challenges of going, obviously Blinn, right? Substantially closer to your hometown than Stillwater. Talk to me a little bit about what was that first month, year, however that transition looked. What that looked like from a challenge perspective.
So many people who know me know, or know my family know, my brothers and I are 12 and 18 years apart, which meant, let's see, Colton was born my senior year in high school. So looking back, the one thing, I mean, I love that I have brothers who are much younger than me, because really, what can we fight about? We're actually super close because we didn't have to fight over everything at home. But I did miss out on their younger years and having that bond then. So just not being able to be around for a lot of the family stuff. I was far enough away from home that I wasn't home every weekend, which I think is good. As a college student, it's okay to get out and experience other things and not go home all the time. But I was just close enough that I could drive home if I needed to. But I would say just learning to navigate things, without having my family at my back door and having to miss out on a few of those things for my brothers was a challenge to me. I thankfully had lots of friends that I would call family in Oklahoma that were close enough to me that I could go if I needed that. But that was definitely difficult. But
yeah, I hear you there. And shout out right to Chris and Colton. I love your brothers. We've done a lot of things together with them. And I know that you're one of their heroes. Absolutely. And so it's hard to leave, right? It's definitely always hard to leave that behind. But let's talk a little bit about, I love really what you said about it kind of forced me to do other things and go other places and have some new opportunities, because you can't just go home, right, on the weekend. So talk to me about kind of, any fun surprises you found about yourself, about Oklahoma, and kind of that growth and positive experience you had there.
I was still able to, I had my eyes open to a lot of different, as far as like the cattle world goes. While I was at Oklahoma State, I had the opportunity I got to work at Griswold's. I got to help Brian McKay. I got to help Luke Doris and all the big names that even now, it's so cool to me to say that I was able to do those things. I met lots of wonderful people. It's just Stillwater, I had the opportunity to go back last April, and it's something about the town that I don't know, it just gets to you. And maybe you can have better words for that than me, but I enjoyed my time there so much, probably in a little bit more extracurricular activity than I should have. I could probably talk to you more about those fun times than times in a classroom as far as memories go, but it was a good time. And I do think it shaped me I got to get out and, again, force out of that comfort zone, like we talked about, and kind of just to be independent and become my own person, find what I was truly interested in away from my little town of Gerald. And I thank Oklahoma State for that now today, for sure.
I agree with you. There's just something about Stillwater, right? And it's not just the experiences on Washington Street. It's such a great community, right? In this little area. I mean, I didn't move. I live 20 miles from there now, so I didn't get as far away as you did, Brittainy, for my time. But yeah, there's just something. It's such a family and a community, and people, allow you to try new things and have some character building moments. It's pretty great in Stillwater. They should pay us for this promotion we're giving them right now here at Ferguson College.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so let's talk about that. So that wasn't the last time that you got out of your comfort zone. You and Tony met. Tony, obviously the Frost family, very synonymous with huge cattle producers and all that they've done in the state of Illinois. So you and Tony, you guys fall in love, and then you moved further north again. Talk to me a little bit about what was that season and experience like as you followed love and moved to Illinois?
Right. So I graduated from OSU in '08, and we lived in Texas I got married in '09 and then moved to Illinois in 2010. So it's crazy. I blinked and we've been here for 15 years, but we moved to Tallulah, Illinois, which is right here where his family is from, where he was raised. It was difficult. It's probably one of the most difficult decisions that I have made. Not easy to leave your family, but it was a move of chance. We were coming to try something new, and so he could start his own cattle deal, or we could, so to say. But I feel like the move is even tougher now. You bring little ones in the picture, you bring grandkids in the picture, and it makes it even harder to be far away. Fortunately, I have a great traveler of a son, so we make frequent trips south. I may live in Illinois, but I'm a Southern girl at heart.
I'm assuming like January through March is when you try to head south.
Yes. I mean, about now when it's, we can actually experience 4 seasons, it's nice. But there are times that I'm like, can I just winter in the South? For sure. But Tony and we've created a good life here with our farm, and I have a good full-time job and a business that I'm super passionate about, and friends and his family here, and we have built a good life here, but it doesn't make the distance any easier, even 15 years later. But
I love that. And thank you for your honesty, right? Even when it feels like the right decision, even when you love where you landed, there's still hard moments. And so I appreciate you talking about that, because I think that we all feel that in different magnitudes and different seasons of our life.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about your business a little bit. Proud Souls Boutique. Talk to us about kind of where did that idea, what really sparked that for you? How'd that come to life?
So really, Proud Souls was created whenever I was in college. My creative outlet was stringing beads, making jewelry. That's back. I started when the big chunky Western stuff was super fun.
Oh yeah, girl, I bought my first necklace from you, if you recall. I think I was a freshman your last year. And so, yeah, I remember like passing it off in the chemistry lab or something. Yes, you were my first chunky necklace purchase, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Awesome. That's actually pretty flattering as well. Yeah. So it was something my mom and I did. We strung beads. I kind of throughout college and right after, I started traveling I'd go to junior nationals and set up booths. I'd go to Louisville and set up booths. And then it kind of became a way for me to still be a part of the cattle world, but I wasn't able to, if I wasn't really hands-on with the cattle, but I could go and I could do my booth and still go to livestock shows and such. Then we moved up here, and I will say the South can definitely be ahead of the Midwest when it comes to fashion, at least for my fashion choices. And I was struggling to find things that I loved around here and around Springfield. And so it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm just going to bring it here. And that's when you could definitely like make albums on Facebook and sell things on Facebook, and you didn't have to deal with algorithms and things like that. But it expanded to my guest room, and I created just a social media base there and really counted on that the most. I started basically like an MLM party where you'd have somebody come sell in your home. I found various people to hold parties where they would receive incentives for letting me hold these parties, and they'd invite their friends, and we'd do those kinds of things out of their home. And I was meeting people in a Dairy Queen parking lot to make deliveries or house deliveries or whatever, while still shipping. I still had a nice customer base back home and in other states and things. But I was waitressing at a local bar and grill, and I had a realtor friend who was like, hey, there's an amazing spot that is opening up we have a great historical square here in Petersburg, and I just think this would be incredible for your business. And like, I am so not ready for this. Like, I don't even know what I want to, okay, let's dive in. Sure, why not? And talked to Tony, and we decided to rent the space, and it's been incredible to be a part of it. We've been there it's been 9 years. And since then, almost 2 years ago in December, we bought the building and we've taken over it, and now have Proud Souls in the bottom floor of it, and we have an Airbnb over the top of it, and it's been quite the experience, quite the ride for sure.
You're such an entrepreneur, but I love that spirit of I didn't find what I wanted here, and so I built it. And that's so inspiring. I love your risk-taking nature from that standpoint. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
So let's talk about, was there a moment? Maybe it was when you were, meeting people in the Dairy Queen parking lot. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. When was that moment for you that was like, this is going to work? This is what I wanted it to be. Like, did you have that one defining moment of, hey, this is the win. This is where I wanted to be?
So a couple of different things there. When we did open, which we were one of the first boutiques, there were antique shops and gift shops and things downtown, but we were one of the first like women's clothing boutiques downtown. And just the amount of the community support, the amount of people that showed up to support Proud Souls. And it was just very overwhelming. It was, I remember the emotions going several different ways because you don't know when you do something like that, no matter what business you're diving off into, is this going to be a bust or is this going to work? And it was amazing, the amount of support I had. But shortly after that, we were at the Menard County Fair here in Petersburg. And it's a nice sized fair, and they've really continued to grow it with various concerts and things. But Tony and I had gone to the concert that night, and looking around the amount of outfits that we had put together for that. And I had friends that even said, wow, I can't believe how many of those we've seen. And that came from you. And it was super humbling. Like, it was just a really fun experience. And I guess that would have been my, man, this might work experience of not only do I love these things, but all these other people do too. So I get excited for different events like that, State Fair in the area and all those concerts, when those things are coming to town, because I'm like, this is my deal. I get excited for dressing people for those events and things like that. So.
Hi, I'm Carol, and I've been a part of the Ranch House Designs team for over 10 years. As a proud mom of 2 girls who show sheep and goats and stay busy with sports, I know the value of reliability and a quick turnaround. And that's exactly what the Ranch House Designs web updates team delivers. When you have a website with Ranch House, you get unlimited updates, all guaranteed within 3 business days. And 99% of the time, we take care of them the same day. It's just one of the ways we make sure your brand is always at its best. Visit ranchhousedesigns.com to get your free quote today.
So let's talk a little more specifics. You guys at Proud Souls, you have women's clothing, children's clothing, you do shoes, jewelry. You've really expanded, right? From that kind of stringing beads, at home and in your college house. Last year, I even bought a Christmas ornament. Maybe that was 2 years ago. It was like an old Hereford cow from you. Like, you guys just have such a great and robust inventory there. So talk to me a little bit about your approach to really curating your inventory. How do you choose what you bring in, what you focus on? What does that process look like for you?
So the fun part of this question is that this is not a single endeavor. This is a family endeavor. I own Proud Souls, but Proud Souls is comprised of my mom, my mother-in-law, and myself. And it's great to see it all come together into one building, and how much similarity there is in our interests and our tastes and things. But so I cover mainly the women's clothing, and then part of the jewelry. And I've added a big portion since we've started making our own graphic t-shirts and things. And since having Wyatt, I had the need for clothing for a farm boy. So I cover a lot of like the little kids, newborn through 5, 6, through like, youth large, somewhere in there, kids like farm t-shirts, things like that. But my mother-in-law does the home decor, and then a good portion of our kids' clothing as well. And then my mom supplies probably 90% of the jewelry, whether she's making it or she's going out and finding it. So it's a group project for sure. And I wouldn't have what I have for inventory without the 2 of them.
I love that. So let's talk about retail in smaller towns, right? Or not these large, big city kind of environments. It can be tricky, right? So in your community, talk to me about, how do you attract customers? What's your balance of kind of online sales to walk-in traffic? What does that look like for you?
First of all, talking about the small town thing, that does get difficult, because I remember my first time going to market and they want to know what, your target audience is. And I was like, newborn to 75. I don't like, we like to be a one-stop shop. My mother-in-law here hates to hear women in there saying, "Oh, that's too young for me," because she's like, "Well, I wear it, and I'm confident in it, and I look great in it." But I will say, challenges with a storefront, yes. I've unfortunately had to see many of them, not just in my area, but all over, ones that I've loved and followed for years that have unfortunately had to close up shop. And I've heard plenty of them that say, "Oh, the way to go is online. You have to go online." And I don't know. I beg to differ. I have lots of customers, myself included, that want to see it, want to touch it, want to come in, and I enjoy being able to visit with people when I'm in there. I do work full time outside of the shop, so I'm not able to do that all the time, but I love being in there and actually getting to talk to people and hear what they want, things like that. I would say, as far as our business goes, I should be able to give you exact numbers. It's bad that I can't, but I mean, in my mind, it's 50-50. I ship a lot as far as live sales go, and our website goes. I do ship a lot. We also offer like in-store pickup. So I have a lot of people that's how they choose to shop. So it's both. I can't see closing the storefront down because I have too many people. And I love, again, the interaction with the customer. I don't get that whenever I'm the online side of it, but expansion is great too. So I'm being able to reach other people that aren't just within 30 miles of me.
Yeah, I love that. And for so many of us, right, especially growing up, I think in this kind of show livestock and just agricultural world, we do all have friends from a lot of places, right? So I feel like I'm shopping with my friend when I buy something from you or something like that. And so it's a familiar feeling of like I'm supporting my friend, but it's not a day trip for me to come see you in Illinois necessarily to purchase something. And so I love that.
And that still, it feels incredible to me too, for people who I've had longtime friendships with, especially, I mean, even those I don't, like you, I haven't been able to see you in forever, but to still have that support from friends who know me is wonderful as well. So, and we can probably touch base on the live sales side of it later, but I have customers that's how they like to shop, and I am not entertaining at all, but that if I don't go live, I notice a difference in our sales, because that's just, some people just like to be able to, who don't live here. Again, it's the hard part with me with online is you have to have great measurements and you have to be able to explain exactly how something fits. And that's why it's hard for me to shop online. So that's where the live sales come in handy, is that I'm able to try things on and tell people exactly how they are as well as I can through a camera.
So let's talk a little bit about that metric and business side. What are some of your KPIs? What do you watch most closely each month? What's that look like from a monitoring perspective for you?
So definitely sales, right? I mean, that's why we're here. I mean, I have a love for it. I have a passion for what I'm doing, but it's got to work. You do have bills to pay. And especially with a storefront, there's a lot of overhead. And that's, again, why the storefront aspect is so difficult, because I have payroll, I have building expenses and electricity, which, good gracious, all those things, shipping, everything that goes into it. So sales obviously is a big deal, and it is a up and down. And that's one thing I can tell anybody going into retail. It is, don't count on it, because you just never know. It's very up and down. But then the inventory turnover, and I wasn't in business, I wasn't in fashion, I didn't major in either one. This has all been from the ground up. I've had to teach myself a lot of things. So the inventory turnover side of it is something that I've really been trying to teach myself more. Like, okay, that's still here. We've tried to restyle it a few times, whatever. And I do encourage my girls to restyle some things, because we're all going to have a different way that we would do it. And then if it's still there, okay, it's time to let it go. It's time to move it. And then customers, repeat and new, but obviously trying to keep the same customers over and over, and very little returns. Again, that goes back to that online aspect of it, doing our very best to where people know what they're buying so that your returns are low.
Awesome. I love that. I'm sure our listeners at this point are seeing why you are absolutely the perfect fit, right, for a podcast titled Grit and Grace from that standpoint. So a lot of perseverance, a lot of different pieces that really go into that. And then, of course, you're also balancing being a mom and a wife and a cattle woman with a full-time job. So I would say you're checking all the boxes, Brittainy, on the Grit and Grace perspective for sure. So let's talk a little bit about, let's pull some of those things out. Talk a little bit about really the grit side of it. So when things get hard at the boutique or in your personal life, talk to us a little bit about how you press through and really what your strategies for that are.
So this question comes at a good time, or this podcast, this sit down comes at a good time, because I recently had to face something very challenging with my business. 4 years ago, we expanded. We had an opportunity to expand and rent the building next to us. Just so happened there was a little hole in the wall that you could walk through to both sides. It was incredible at the time. Felt really good that we needed all that space. That's when my mother-in-law joined me. And as many know, right now, small business it's hard. The economy is hard. And that's not the only reason I chose to do what I did. But 2 months ago, I was actually listening to a podcast of another person who decided to make a big change. And I don't know what hit me, but I text Tony and I was like, I think I'm going to let go of the other side. And he was 100% supportive. Financially, yes, it's a big change. I got to a point where I was losing a little bit of my joy in Proud Souls and why I love it, because aside from my family and my full-time job, it was becoming a full-time job trying to keep inventory on both of those sides and buying things just to buy them, just to fill a space. So the decision was to bring Proud Souls back to where it began in the small, our building is amazing. I love the space so much. And the reason for why I started it, and I will say it's been a week since we closed up the wall and another business has taken over, and I have my joy back again. And it was understanding that that's not a show of failure. It's a show of now I have a space back that I am able to maintain with everything else going on and really love it again. But like I mentioned, also knowing that that's not failure. Downsizing is not failure. This is how we regroup and we grow in that aspect. So I would say the grit side of that was having to understand that that's okay, that it's not a bad thing. And I'm incredibly happy for it. The other side of pressing through, I wrote down that Wyatt, my family, that's definitely one of the big things that keeps me going whenever anything gets tough, but especially owning the business and everything else.
Yeah, I think that's so wise, Brittainy, and just being able to really lean into and be self-aware of, hey, here's how I'm feeling, and I think this is it, and really having that grit moment to press in, and just the awareness, right? And to your point, you've had this boutique and been doing this for a long time. And so knowing that seasons change and things ebb and flow in business, in your personal life, and just where you want to be, I think that's so wise. And like I said, a lot of self-awareness on your part as to, hey, I think this is the change. So I think that's really great. Let's flip sides for a minute. Let's talk about grace. Give us an example of a moment that you can feel God or a breakthrough that's just rest and clarity as a business owner standpoint.
So this kind of goes hand in hand with what we just talked about and making those changes. And right after downsizing, I decided, we need to go live today. We need to do something. I don't have a plan, so I'm going to show everybody now that we have everything moved over and redecorated. I'm going to show them all what it looks like and why we made the decision that we did. And again, still teetering on the several emotions, right? So like I had lots when the week leading up to closing the doors on that. I mean, Wyatt was a baby when Tony and I were painting, and my good friends were painting walls in that place. And I walked out of there with my 4-year-old helping me carry furniture out of it. And it's just a kind of a full circle little moment there. But while I was doing that live, I happened to scan across something, made me stop on a sign my mother-in-law has in the shop that's available, to purchase or whatever. And she's got lots of cute ones with fun, inspirational quotes on them. And it had something to do with, this is God's way of showing you this is exactly where you need to be. And I think my mom was watching, and she noticed it, and she goes, "Yep, that's it. There's your sign." And it's crazy how little things like that can pop up for you. But again, in talking about that specifically and that big change, because it was a big deal for us. I've already in a week's time seen little moments like that, yep, this is good. We're going to grow from here, and this is good. So
I love that. And I'm sure you walked past that sign probably 100 times. And for it to hit you that day, like that's God's grace right there.
I've never stopped to read it, and I did that day, and it's like, man, look at that. Little aha moment, I guess.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about, we're recording this a little early right now. We're in the season, right, of all of the holidays and all of the things that really become a lot as a mom, and of course also as a business owner, right? Our listeners are going to hear this kind of at the end of really our holiday season, so they're probably all feeling that burnout or that overwhelm kind of standpoint. Talk a little bit about, how do you navigate those seasons? How do you model for your kids balance and all those kind of different pieces when you start to feel that burnout, but know that you're also, a role model in your community as a mom and as a business owner?
First of all, I should say I don't. As many people have said, like, how do you do it? I don't. I must put on a real good show, because let me tell you, leader of the Trainwreck Express over here is what I feel like most of the time. But the way that I navigate that is to be vulnerable and to be okay with, like, accepting that it's okay to ask for help and to lean on a lot of others. Because I can tell you right now, in some of what I do, yes, I have a full-time job. I work for the Farm Service Agency. We run the Airbnb above our business. We have Proud Souls. I'm a clerk for the Road Commission. We have the farm, and we obviously, first and foremost, our family. And things are nuts. And especially now, Wyatt grew up in Proud Souls as like since he was a baby. So I'm now reaching the point that he actually told me the other day, just let me go to the farm. Your place is really boring. And I was like, we've hit that point. Like I've managed to make it 4 years before hearing that phrase that I knew was coming eventually. So being able to lean on family and friends who know exactly when I've reached my breaking point to say, hey, we're going to grab him for today, or jump in and let me help. How can I help? Whatever. Proud Souls, I have a really, really great group of women. I've managed to have for 9 years a great group of women who love Proud Souls as much as I do, who want to succeed as much as I do. And I can tell you right now, I would be dead in the water if it wasn't for those girls. They are the ones who keep the everyday wheels turning as far as like what you see in front of you. I do more of the back office stuff anymore. So like just willing to ask for help, and that's okay. I think for whatever reason, I thought I needed to do it all on my own for a long time, and it's just not possible. So I definitely have to lean on a lot of others to make it all work.
I think that's such great advice. And for any age of our listener here, right? I think we've all struggled with that. I have to do it all. I can do it all. I'm qualified to do it all kind of mentality, but knowing that not hopefully at stealing your peace or your joy or any of those pieces. I think we've all learned and probably still continue to learn. I'm sure God still has a checklist up there. It's like, all right, she's probably going to need to relearn this lesson again in a couple years, just on asking for help and leaning on your community. I think that's always such good advice. Young, old, in between, it doesn't matter. So I love that.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have, right on every episode, we have a listener question. So Brittainy, we had a listener that wants to know from you, how do you balance really growing your boutique while also staying true to the authenticity and not overextending and getting too far away from that core brand that you've really created?
So my number one piece of advice that I had to learn the hard way is, if you're super involved in social media, it's okay to unfollow others. I caught myself being way too caught up in what everyone else was doing. And should I be doing that? And would that work for us? And this and that. And kind of lost sight of what I cared about, what I wanted Proud Souls to be. And once I shut all that other out, I became way more successful, and I put more time into focusing more on what I wanted it to be and listening to my own customers. And just because something else works for somebody doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. And just because something that, I mean, I guess the best sense of the word, if you go viral with something, you know, it doesn't mean somebody else will. So just learning to focus on the needs and wants and necessities of what you have going, no matter what aspect of life that it is or what you're doing, it will take you so much further than following what everybody else is doing or worrying about what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, I think that's such a good call out, right? And for everybody who either owns a small business or is, you know, an entrepreneur, runs an Etsy shop, anything, right? There's that fine line between I'm following like creators or boutiques, et cetera, for inspiration, right? To like stay fresh, and then it potentially falling off into a comparison game. And so I love what you said there. I think that's so good. So good. So let's just as kind of a follow up to that, we've talked a little bit about you've done expansion and shrinking and different areas of depth, et cetera. What's next? Is there like a next risk you want to take? Is there a sustainability play, something you want to do more of? Tell us a little bit about what's next, what's new, maybe what's not going to happen anymore for Proud Souls.
Yeah. So as far as expansion in some places, so graphic tees have always been a huge seller for us. And I've always liked to focus on pieces that supported agriculture and livestock and things like that. And I decided just under a year ago that why don't we cut out the middleman and we'll just start making our own t-shirts. It also gave me an outlet to where I make everything from here at home. So if Wyatt wants to be at home playing, he can, instead of having to be confined within the four walls of the storefront. So that has really taken off. We've done some things for other businesses, farms, things like that, for t-shirts and things. But I've also been able to I'm slowly dipping back into that. I mean, I'm an ag communications major, right? So I miss the making and the design side of it. But also, I have a lot to learn about software and things like that. So I'm slowly trying to do more design stuff. But as far as like just the t-shirts and being able to decide what we want to carry, what sizes work best for us, and not being confined within you have to get so many of this or so many of this. So we're definitely, I'm growing that. I'm loving doing that. And then we took a big risk during COVID. And prior to that, you would have never caught me on a live. I did not want to be in front. And doing that, taking that risk, totally changed my business because I'm not a size 2. A lot of my customers aren't a size 2. And finally being able to just be vulnerable and step in front and be comfortable with that made other people comfortable with that too. And it's totally changed my business with doing the live sale stuff as well. So I would like to, going forward, I definitely want to build that up more as well, to try to go live more. I try to stay consistent, but let's be real. You have kids too. There is no schedule with us right now. Again, just the season we're in. So, but I would love to be able to expand our online and social media presence more, definitely with that too, and make that a big focus as well. I'd let others who help me currently run the storefront side of it. So
That's so good. That's so good. Oh, Brittany, so much good stuff today. I really love. Thank you for opening up and sharing with us. This has been so good. We're going to end it, right? We always end these podcasts on just a few more light, fun facts. So I've got 2 more just totally random questions for you. First one is favorite show to rewatch. Like, what is there's nothing on television, go to rewatch show?
So I constantly find myself, if I'm just wanting mindless humor, like getting ready in the morning and stuff, I will have something on my phone, and it's generally Friends. There's not a single episode that I got tired of. I absolutely love it. Series, that I've watched over and over. And now that it's fall again, I feel like I probably need to start it over again, is Friday Night Lights. But random about that one, a good majority of that show was filmed in and around where I'm from. I actually was taking some courses at a hotel one night and walked out and I was like, what is all this business? They were filming a scene there at the hotel. So I sit and watch them do that, which was super cool. Yeah, I'm a big Riggins fan, not gonna lie. But football in Texas was huge. Yes, I mean, right? So yeah, and I still, the quotes that come from everything. Yeah, I'm a Friday Night Lights geek, but yeah, I'd say probably those two. And then I love that my friends who have preteen and teenage girls are now sitting down and watching One Tree Hill with them. I think that is incredibly cool that a lot of those things are finally like coming, full circle, including 90s styles and things like that. But
Oh, I love that. In high school, I actually really wanted a tattoo that said "Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose." I'm actually very thankful that my mom talked me out of that. But like, there was a time where I was like, when I'm 18, I will be tattooing this on my body. Over 18, Ashley is thankful that I can just watch it on TV now. But like, I'm so right there with you. So right there.
I agree. Yeah, there's no Texas forever stamped on me anywhere, but
All right. And the last thing, this is the last question we ask everybody. We really feel like here at Grit and Grace that you can do about anything with a great mascara. And I'm a lipstick fan. So obviously also my power color is bright red because of course it is. So tell us a little bit, Brittainy, what is your favorite brand of mascara?
so I've hopped around a lot on this one, trying to find, because I am, as much as I want to be a makeup girly, I mean, I own a boutique, for goodness sakes. Like, you would think that I would actually, try. I still don't understand it, but I do love myself a good mascara and just trying to navigate finding that one. Right now, I think it's called Lash Essence, I think is what it's called. It's like $5 and you can get it at Target or Ulta, but it's a Lash Essence waterproof mascara and I love that one so far. So, and I've been down every price point of mascaras. So to say that the $5 one works for me is a win in my book. So
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. All right, everybody write it down. Everybody head to Target or your Ulta app or in person. So, Brittany, it's been such a gift. I've really enjoyed our time chatting today. Before we wrap, I just want, would you share kind of a final word of encouragement or advice, maybe for those women who are in the trenches of just starting their new business or dreaming of starting something, but they're not sure that they can? Give us some parting thoughts and just advice on that.
you just have to dive in. Again, I questioned myself so many times about whether or not something would work or if I would have a following on things. And you don't know unless you finally dive in and you try it. And then you have to be willing to work for it. Highs and the lows. So, and like I said a while ago, just make sure that you focus on yourself and not what everyone else is doing, and follow your own heart and your own passions on how you feel you want your business or whatever to go.
Yep, I think that's perfect. Just start, she says, right? Just jump in. That's that line of, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
100%. Yes, I agree.
I love that. One foot in front of the other. Okay, we'd be remiss, Brittany, if we didn't, give you a little social promotion here too. Tell us, where can people connect with you? Social media, website. How do we find you? I know everybody's going to head and buy some pieces. You always have so much great Christmas stuff too. And just kind of first of the new year pieces. Where can people find you? How can they follow you? Shout out your handles for us.
Yeah, thank you. So, form of social media. My girls work super, super hard helping me. So you can find us anywhere. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and then we have a Proud Souls Boutique VIP and a Proud Souls business page as well on Facebook. And then our website is proudsoulsboutique.com, and we will ship anywhere. So
awesome. Brittany, thank you for being here. Thank you to our listeners. I know everybody got so much out of this today. So much grit, so much grace. Easy to see why Brittainy Frost was one of our main people to kick off the new year. Such an inspirational story. So much just good things to discern from you about taking the next step and not being afraid and making those tough choices that are really going to pay off. So thank you to our listeners for being here. And until next time, keep leaning into your grit and to your grace.